Hello, my name is Eric Lancheres and welcome to the Onpage video now. This is video number 3 of our Ranking Revolution series. This is SEO simplified, so where we take complicated things like SEO and we break it down and make it really easy for anyone to rank on Google, get traffic, sales back to your website so you could get the money in your pocket. Cool. Now that I've gone over that, I hope you've gone over video number 1 and video number 2. That is really the foundation of what we're doing here today. In video number 1, we went over what people really want. And that is going to be crucial that you get this in order to make everything else work. Number 2, we went over how to present that content so that people love to consume it. So sometimes people don't want to consume just a block of text. They want to consume it in different formats. And that's what we went over in video number 3. Now, today, what we're going over is going to be the Google food. So what the elements that you could put on the page so that Google absolutely loves your page and eats it up and ranks you and you get sales and life's great. That's what we're going over today. So this is all part of the unlimited traffic cycle. Remember in the video number 1, I presented this traffic cycle and showed you like how it's actually really easy to get an unlimited amount of traffic back to your website. You just figure what people want, you write about it, you tweak it, you get a few links, and then you repeat. It is super simple when you break it down, and that's why sometimes people overcomplicate things. And if you haven't seen video number 1, go see it right now. It's all going to make a lot of sense, and once it makes sense in your mind, you're going to see how pretty much anyone could do this, and you could do it relatively easily and quickly. So building up traffic can be really quick on your website. We talked about in the previous video as well the types of contents that attracts visitors, people, and links the most. So we went over infographics, open letters, breaking news, guides, and for all of these, we're going to be able to apply what I call the Google food and the Google tweaks. So the tweaks to the on page that will make your page show up number 1 in Google. So that's what we're really after. We are trying to give Google everything that it wants so that it will reward us as much as possible. Now, for some industries, you might need to have a few links. We'll go over that after. However, some pages don't even need any links to rank high on Google. You want to put it this way. Some of the best pages I have next to no links and they rank number 1 purely out of the on page being so good, right? So when you put a page together and it's amazing, right? Like Google is just like, wow, this is probably the best page on the internet. It's Google's responsibility to put it on top, right? So their responsibility is to show you the best result, to show you the best content. So if you put the best page together, it's like on them to put it on top. If they don't, then it's them not doing their job properly. So that's kind of like where we're coming from. We want to create a page that is so good and that Google is just like, wow, this is amazing, that they will put it on top. And if they don't, it's their fault. So the formula works. What I'm going to be teaching you today and going over today is proven, right? So we have Joshua Halpern, who's a traffic research member, who's applied this formula, and this is one of the foundational pieces that he's applied, and he's gotten a 5x increase on his website. So he's grown his website traffic by 5 times with the information inside traffic research, with the help of traffic research. And he's been so successful that I have a private interview with him inside traffic research where he talks about his experience and he talks about the turning point and the tricks that he used inside traffic research and so forth. And what we're going to be covering today, that's what he used. So this stuff works. I'm giving you the best stuff right here. The next thing is we have Mark Goodman, who's another member inside traffic research, who's quadrupled the traffic to his site using this on-page formula. So really, this is going to be the stuff that you want to follow. And what I keep on doing as well is I keep on refining it. So I'm always making distinctions, always updating it, and I'm giving you the latest version right now. So I hope you're excited. We're going to dive right into it. We're going to be talking about the Google elements, what I call Google food, that makes Google fall in love with your page and your website. We're going to talk about the specific specifications that Google favors, and I'm going to give you examples that you could model and just see like, oh yeah, that's how they did it, and do it for yourself. So after this, there's going to be absolutely no reason why you can't just go and apply these tweaks to a new page or even an existing page and get great results. On the right-hand side is a picture. I once had, side little story, I once had a cupcake and champagne party, right? And I was like, cool, it sounds like a good idea. Let's have a big cupcake and champagne party. Some woman made cupcakes with my face on it. And I thought it was hilarious. I was like, oh my God, okay. I did not expect that. I was providing the champagne and people were bringing their cupcakes. And I figured that one day I would use this picture. I had no idea when I would use it or what I would use it for. But when I started talking about Google Food, I was like, yes, this is the appropriate picture. So I hope you enjoy it. Now let's move on. Let's talk about the on-page elements that rank. And so that you create a page that is so good in the eyes of Google that it could rank without links. So what you want to start with is you want to start giving Google all what I call Google Food. So we're giving them elements of Google Food, and the more elements that Google finds, so it's like, oh yeah, I'm looking for this, and you give it to them. Oh, I'm looking for this, you give it to them. I'm looking for this, you give it to them. When Google finds all these elements on your site, your page score goes up and up and up and up, and Google works with page score. This page that has the highest score ranks number 1, right? So we're going to be giving it all the Google Food, all the other little elements, so that it can rank as high as possible. So right off the bat, here is the formula. Here's just kind of like the summary of everything we're going to go over. I'm going to show you how, and this is just the, like, here it is. Now we're going to break it down. So really quickly, I love to put one table of content. So a table of content, Wikipedia style, works super well. Typically, my best performing pages and the pages that perform the best in Google are going to be between 1,200 and 3,000 words. We're going to have 3 to 12 original images, and I'm going to go into that too. We're going to have one title. We're going to have 4 to 12 subheadlines. So these are H2s, H3s, H4s, and most people writing content have next to no subheadlines. It's really a trick and a key and kind of like an inside thing that if you start putting that on your page, you're going to get much better results. Next, we're going to have 4 to 12 internal links, 1 to 12 external links, one bullet list. That's kind of like an optional thing. It's my little secret spice. And I'm going to show you how to put some Google sandwiches. So the Google Food formula, the sandwich formula. I'm going to go over that as well. So I just want to give you kind of a general overview of where we're going. I'm going to break it down. All of this, you could actually take a page, just a block of text. You can take a block of text that has no formatting, it's just text, nothing, and apply all of this. The original images, the titles, the subtitles, the internal links, external links, the bullet list, the Google Food formula in about 10 minutes. So once you know how to do it, it's very, 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 very quick to put. It's essentially taking the same thing and presenting it in a different way. And one page on the one hand side, Google won't rank at all. And then once you apply this, all the tweaks, Google's absolutely going to love it and it's going to rank you on top. It really is kind of like a night and day. And this is the tweaks that I'm going to recommend that you apply to perform as well as possible. So let's go into the first one, how to write a perfect page. The table of content, the Wikipedia style. Now, Google absolutely loves this one, and you could have a table of content on almost any page that has a lot of content, right? So if you have a 400-word article, probably not appropriate. But if you have 1,000, 2,000 words, definitely appropriate to break it up into subheadlines and have a table of content. Now, to create the table of content, you need subheadlines and subheadlines. That's why by doing this table of content, you're actually killing 2 birds with 1 stone, because you're going to have subheadlines. So the way I do this in WordPress, there's a bunch of plugins for table of content. There's free plugins. I think it's Table of Content Plus. Just go and it'll take all your subheadlines and create a table of content. Bang, you're done. Now, the beauty of this is when people search for stuff in the search engines and they search something that's close to one of your subheadlines, not only is your listing going to appear, but also you're going to have a little indentation underneath so that people could jump directly to that section on your page. So your listing will be bigger, Google rewards you more, and people could jump to that section directly on your page. It's just like a win, win, win. Everything is win on the table of content. So definitely one of the elements I highly recommend. The next thing is going to be writing the right words. Now, the words obviously matter. One of the biggest mistakes I see made by SEO experts, it's like people that have been doing this for a long time, is that they think they're optimizing the page for a certain word when in reality they're not. Let's say, they're writing about tables for sale, right? They'll write tables for sale and they'll optimize the title, they'll optimize the H1, they'll optimize an image, and it'll all say tables for sale or whatever. But the content, the words on the page won't have anything to do with tables and they won't be answering the query, can I get tables for sale here? So this is really going to be one of the things that you want to write about. Like when you are writing, you want to write on the topic. You want to write to answer the query, and whatever your keyword is, whatever your title is, Google's, with the artificial intelligence now, is smart enough to understand some of your content. So you have to write about that topic. Now, the way you write about that topic, I recommend using synonyms and using specific industry terms. So if you're writing about something like a drone, right? If you're writing about drones, then you want to talk about the flight controller. You're going to want to talk about propellers. You're going to want to talk about the motors. You're going to want to talk about a radio controller. These are all going to be the specific industry terms that you typically wouldn't find in another article that is not on this topic. Because Google looks for not only that main keyword, but they also look for the other related words on that page to really understand that, hey, if you're typing in Apple and then you have a MacBook and you have iPhone, it knows you're talking about Apple, the computer company. But if you type in Apple and then you're talking about trees and vegetation and food, it's going to say, okay, well, you're talking about a different Apple. So that's why it's really crucial that when you're writing the article or the content or anything around your piece of work, that you use specific industry terms and synonyms to help Google guide itself and understand your content. The next thing is you really want your content to be engaging and follow grammatical rules. Now, Google does check for grammar, so if your grammar's all over the place, you're not going to rank as well. One of the services I use is Grammarly. I just copy paste my content there, and it corrects all the grammar the way a robot would, so Google's absolutely going to love it. The next thing is going to be that I love to answer questions and present facts inside my content. So I try to obviously make my content as useful as possible, but Google recently has been picking up questions and they've been picking up facts. So if you include a lot of questions, a lot of facts inside your content, you're going to do better than someone that's just vague and just opinion oriented. So try to enter as many facts and answer as many questions as possible in your content. That's really going to help you. So this is really the best, as long as you follow this, you're going to have some of the best content that Google absolutely loves. Now let's dive into the extra formatting, the extra little bits. Now, images enhances your content. It's like a no-brainer. Most people on the internet these days, if they land on an article and there's just a big block of text, they're just going to leave, which is a negative signal to Google. So if you want to have a page, the perfect page, or the page that ranks as well as possible, you need to have images. Now, most people, they get a bit lazy. They only put one image, but you want to have many more. You want to have 3 to 12, let's say 3 to 12 images on your page, and you want them to be original. Original images capture the audience's attention a lot more. I'd rather have a cell phone picture of whatever you're talking about rather than a stock picture that I've seen 100 times before. Whenever people know that it's real, that it's you that took the picture, they will be much more likely to stay on your page, engage with the content. And on top of that, Google knows that it's original as well. So Google is trying to reward the highest quality content. Therefore, you want to put as many original images as you can inside your content, and that's really going to help you perform much better than a page that doesn't have. So really, it is going to increase the amount of shares that you get, the amounts of links, and that you can't replace that. So some people only go so far with that. The best performers that I always see is the people that take their own images or create their own data or create their own graphs. The way I do it, either I'll have cell phone, either I'll hire a photographer, either I'll have a graphic artist create stuff for me. And if I don't, then what I'll try to do is I will kind of take a few stock images and make an original image out of that. There are many ways of creating images, but just know that you want to have a bunch of them and you want to put a bit of work into them, because that is going to be what a lot of people read and consume. A lot of people will read some of your text, but they'll look at the images, and read some of your text, but look at the images. So you want those images to shine and pop. Don't underestimate them. Right. Now my spiel about the images, right? So here is going to be the title. Now the title, everyone knows about how to put a title on a page. If you're using WordPress, it's just going to be the top line, right? You want to use your main keyword inside the title. So what you want to do is you want to, somewhere inside the title, it doesn't need to be anywhere specific anymore. Typically in the past, people used to put the title, they'd be like, oh, use the main keyword absolutely at the front. These days, it's not as important. You can use it pretty much anywhere inside, but you still want to use it to describe whatever you're talking about. So the title is very important. If you are writing about the best fishing lakes in Canada, then you're going to want to have best fishing lakes in Canada somewhere inside your title. And usually you want to make the title as captivating as possible while keeping it natural. So what do I mean by captivating? Well, Google is going to show the title to your users and to the people that are searching for that term. If it's not captivating, people are not going to click on your listing. Therefore, you're going to get less traffic, less shares, less everything, but it's also a negative signal. So if no one clicks on your listing, Google's going to be like, well, maybe this is not as appropriate as possible. The way you want to do it is you want to encourage people to have to click on your content by having captivating titles. So things like what I learned after going fishing to the best fishing lakes in Canada, something like that. What I've learned after fishing at the best fishing lakes in Canada will be a great title for people to click if they want to learn about fishing lakes. So not only are we presenting the title with the keyword inside, but we're adding stuff around to make it natural, to make it very click friendly, and encouraging people to come to your website. So whenever you're writing a title, try to get the main keyword inside of it, but then make it natural, make it enticing, and captures people's attentions. That's going to be, as long as you do that, you're going to be doing just fine with the titles. All right. Moving on, subheadlines. Now, subheadlines are going to be H2s, H3s, and H4s. Now, if you don't know what those are just the tags that dictate what your subtitle and subtitle and subtitle is. In WordPress, you could actually just use the thing that says heading 2 and then heading 3 and heading 4, and you just create subheadlines. Now, the subheadlines is what people scan and find when they go through the page. It's crucial. Whenever people read web pages, typically they will scan. They're not going to read every single word one by one. They're going to scan through, find a subheadline they want to read, and then read that. So you want to make sure you have subheadlines because it'll encourage people to stay on your page. Also, Google absolutely loves subheadlines. It tells Google what you're writing about. So what you want to try to do is you want to try to split up your content, and about every 6 lines or so, this is a general rule, you could always have more or less, but around every 6 sentences, I like to have a subheadline. I use related terms in my subheadlines. I don't repeat always the same word over and over and over. I will vary up my subheadlines, but my subheadlines are always kind of related to whatever I'm talking about. So if I'm talking about fishing, I might have a subheadline that says like the best lakes. And then the next down is like, oh, when I lost my fishing pole. And then the next subheadline will be our trip to Lake Ontario or so. And then I'll break down the subheadlines so they are all related, but they're not exactly the same thing over and over again. So the next thing you might want to do for subheadlines is answer questions by either asking questions or answering questions. So that's kind of a thing that we're going to be talking about very shortly when we're going into the Google food. Okay, I hope you're taking notes. I hope right now you're taking notes like, oh wow, I'm going to be able to transform my page, and my new pages from now on are going to be the best they could possibly be because you're going to be crafting the perfect page with all of this. So moving on, internal and external links. Now the internal links should be natural and you should have a ton of them. So an internal link is essentially referring to another page on your site that is talking about that topic. So if I'm talking about fishing, I'm just giving you my example here, then you would have an internal link that links to another page on that topic. So if I have a page about fishing and I have a page about lakes, then I will have an internal link that will link to that lake page on my website. External links is pointing to different websites. So you should also have links that point to external websites inside your content. Typically, I will have between 1 and 4 of these, and I always want to make sure I'm linking to high quality pages. So Google looks at not only your page, but who you're linking to. So if you are a high quality page and you're linking to another high quality page, we're good. If you're a high quality page, but you're linking to like a casino page or like a Viagra page or something, then Google's going to dock you a few points because it's like, well, you're linking out to a place that we don't trust too much. So you want to have related high quality links, and that's going to help you if anything. When you are linking though, use natural anchor text. So when linking out, that means use long words. So instead of just linking with one word lake, I'll say, hey, here are the best fishing lakes, and I'll have that whole block of text with my links. So typically my anchor text will be 4 or 5 words long, and that's the way I like to link these days. It really seems to be helping with the naturalness, and I avoid over optimization penalties like that too. Okay, next is going to be the bullet list. This is kind of like a spice. You don't need to have this on every single article, but I like to add these because Google eats these up. So a bullet list is going to be just a list of anything. I typically use these as summaries or recaps or anything up at the bottom of my article, and I'll add a subheadline on top. So I'll have, like, let's say we were saying with our example, I'll say the best fishing lakes, and then I'll have a bullet list of fishing lake number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll have a list, and I'll close that up. That using the code either LI or using the code LI will tell Google that we have a list there, and Google will be able to pick that list up, and they'll be able to display it in the search snippets as well. So not only they're going to reward you, but they sometimes will display it in a knowledge graph because you have a bullet list there. So we're going to go over some more examples. In Word, you could actually just create a list. There's just a little button that you push into the editor. It creates a list automatically for you, so you don't have to do any code. All right. Then we add the Google food. So those were all the specifications that we went over, all the things that you typically want to put together to have the highest quality and ranking page. Now, Google Foods is going to be kind of like a sandwich analogy. Now, what I like to do is I like to structure data in a way where I put one piece and another piece and another piece, and when Google sees it, they understand that this is the type of structured data, and they show it in the knowledge graph, they show it in the search snippets, and they also reward your page even more by having these. So what am I talking about? Well, here is going to be the main structure of Google Food. First, you want to start with a subheadline, then you add a content, and you close with a relevant image. That is really going to be the key structure that Google understands the easiest these days. So as long as you have a subheadline, so an H2 or an H3, you have a piece of content that is related to that subheadline, and then you close it off with a relevant image. You put 1, 2, 3. Google's going to understand that and say, like, oh yeah, well, this person is talking about this in this paragraph, and we could just copy paste this almost exactly and put it in the knowledge graph, put it on top. The more data that Google can understand, the more it will show it to the users. That's typically the golden rule. If you're putting out a bunch of gibberish on your page and Google can't understand it, then Google is less likely to show that to your users. The more Google could understand your content, and this is the perfect way of structuring your content so Google could understand it, the more Google is likely to show it to everyone on the internet, which rewards you. So let's go into a specific Google Food example. What I did on the left-hand side is I have an H3 that says best Samsung Gear VR controller chart. That was my subheadline. So in my table of content, you could click it and you could just go through, and that will be the subheadline. Underneath that, what I did is I had a bullet list, right? So exactly what we just covered. I had a bullet list, and inside I had the controllers. Then underneath that, I also had an image. So the image was also called Samsung Gear controller. And then when you put all of that together, Google will pick it up and they'll say, like, oh wow, all right, this guy is talking about Samsung Gear VR controllers. And we know that because he has a subheadline, then he has content, and then he has the image. Actually, this example, I did a table. You could also do it with tables. Instead, you could do bullet lists or tables. In this instance, it's a table, but much easier is going to be to just use bullet list or subheadline. So let me show you an example of how we could put it all together. Now, here's a quick recap right before I'm going to show you the examples. One table of content, 1,200 to 3,000 words, 3 to 12 original images, one title, 4 to 12 subheadlines. So these are H2s, H3s, H4s, 4 to 12 relevant internal links, 1 to 12 external links, one bullet list or table, and apply the Google Food formula. So they're putting a subheadline, piece of content, and an image. And here's the thing. You don't need to have this for every single page, right? Every single page does not need to be perfect, but do this on the pages that you want to rank as well as possible. This is going to be the ultimate formula. So when we're talking about the members getting 4 times their traffic, 5 times their traffic, they've applied this and they've got a few links, and then the combination of putting everything together has made their traffic absolutely blow up. So that's what I want for you, to get all the traffic and sales and money in the world by applying this. So diving into an example. Here's a website, not my website, but example is Serious Eats. Now, if you want, go check them out. Serious Eats, I put the URL at the bottom. You could you could also look up the title where it's Vitamix versus Blendtec versus Breville, who makes a high-end blender. You should be able to find them. On here, they have amazing content. Now, the reason I put this up is because they're breaking it up into subheadlines. They have the relevant images, right? So they have original relevant images, they have subheadlines, they have internal links, they have external links. They are covering the whole spectrum of what we want here. I think the only thing they might not have is a table of content, which I would recommend they have. But apart from that, everything is absolutely top notch. So that's an example you can go look at when trying to figure out, okay, how do people put this high-end content and perfect page together? A next example that I want to show you is going to be my Ultra VR page. So if you go to Samsung Gear VR Ultimate Guide, you're going to see that I'm applying this exactly. I have bullet lists, I have original images, I have table of contents, I have internal links, I have external links, everything is there. This is going to be an example of a page that doesn't need links to rank well, but it does have a bunch of links because it was a high quality example and a lot of people started linking to it. So it's kind of like that thing where you don't necessarily need that many links to rank, but because you don't even need them, people start giving them to you, right? So it's a win-win. So I highly recommend you go check that page out. And here I even have another page, which is a recover from penalty site, where I apply this formula again, where I have a simple table of content, I have a lot of internal links, I have external links, I have a few original images in here. All these pages have very little links, but rank really well. And they've accumulated naturally links over time because of the Onpage. As soon as people land on here, they say, okay, well, this is a really high quality page. Another example is going to be 5S training. So this is an example done in a very, I'm going to say a boring industry. It's safety training for industries, right? But they've applied this formula and they get a lot of traffic and links back to this page just by using this content formula. So they have a table of content, they have the original images, they have the subheadlines, and inside the subheadlines they had structured it in a specific way so that they could have, so Google understands. So if you type in some of their terms, it shows up in a knowledge graph because Google understands the way they're structuring their data. So that's also another excellent example that you could go check out. Next thing is going to be best 3D printers. Now if you type in that query, you can have best 3D printer guide. Now these guys are doing affiliates. So this is another example how you could apply it to so many different models and different pages where they have it structured slightly differently, but they are using subheadlines, they are using tables of content, they are using internal and external links, and they have everything is positioned in a different way, but Google can still understand it because they are always putting like subheadline, block of text, image together. They have internal links, external links, they have bullet lists. So if you look on the right hand side, you have the pros and you have a bullet list. You have the cons, you have a bullet list. Everything is really well structured together on this page. That's another excellent example, especially if you're doing affiliate, you might want to go check out. So that is going to be the summary. That's all you need to know to combine all these image elements on the page to achieve the highest rankings possible. So what we do is we design pages that need less backlinks to do just as well, because honestly, sometimes getting backlinks, it could be a little time consuming. Now, moving forward, I'm going to show you how you get backlinks really quickly, really easily, and that are going to make your pages rank like nobody's business. And once you know how, it's going to go much faster. However, we still want to invest this least amount of time in backlinks, and it's always much faster to just get a strong on page, because then you could get backlinks naturally. Like I mentioned, some of my best performing pages, I've never built a single backlink to. I just put it up I applied the formula we talked about, and then they started gaining and gaining and gaining and gaining backlinks. And over time, now they have a ton of backlinks. Now they are ranking amazingly well, and I've never put in any backlink effort. So moving forward, I always recommend that you start off with the basics. You start out with the foundation, you put the page in together, and then if you need any extra boost, then we start building backlinks. So I hope you're excited about this next chapter and moving forward, where we're gonna show you, and you want to join me so we could go and build up your page and get those backlinks and get everything working together. So before we go today, I want you to leave a comment. Which pages, do you have any pages that you have that you want to apply the Google food elements? So all the specifications and all the Google foods. Do you have a website maybe right now that you're going to apply this on? Do you have pages that you want to create in the future? Let me know if you have pages, or you could think of things that you want to apply this to right now in the comments below. Also, I'd love for you to share this on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or send the direct URL to a friend. Get clear about the results that this could have. Like inside Traffic Research, we have interviews of members that have gone 4 times, 5 times the amount of traffic, and that has changed their life. Let me tell you, it's getting 4 times, 5 times the amount of traffic definitely has a significant impact on your sales. You can have, 4 times, 5 times amount of sales, which ends up being the money. So let me know how this could change your life. My name is Eric Lancheres, and moving forward, I hope you're excited for the next video where we really move forward, and I'll show you how to rank and grow your sales daily on Google. Great. So my name is Eric Lancheres, and I will talk to you soon.